Hello, I'm Ollie, and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, horror. It's another instalment in my library tour. So I have a nice big stack of horror books on the desk in front of me. These are mostly ones I haven't read, or at least if I have read them, it was ages and ages ago. So let me go through them. There are a few repeating authors in here, but most of them are standalone. In fact, I think there's just one repeating author, which is Dick Koontz. So yeah, I'm just going to grab these and go through them. And if you have read any of them, do let me know in the comments. But yeah, let's go. So first one, I need to get better at taking the stickers off things, don't I? Because this looks like a great cover, but you can't tell it. And this sticker is it's been on here for so long, it's not coming off now. So anyway, The Secret of Anatomy by Mark Morris. So I read a couple of years ago Toady by Mark Morris, which was absolutely fantastic. It was a bit like an English version of It. It was really, really good. So I need to read this. It's quite long though. How long is it? 600 pages. But yeah, Toady was absolutely fantastic, which makes me think that this is worth reading. But yeah, it's a fantastically creepy cover. I'm not going to read you the blurb on the back because it's really long, but but it does look good, doesn't it? Right, next up, some vintage stuff. So this is The Surrogate by Nick Sharman. Nick Sharman also wrote The Cats, which is basically a rip-off of James Herbert's The Rats, but with cats instead of rats, which is a lot of fun, which I think I've shown in one of these videos before. But yeah, this looks good. I think it's about a spooky doll. It's a kind of ventriloquist type thing by the looks of it. Yes, anyway. Nice cover. Now this next one is a very good example of why stickers on book covers are bad. So this is a book which I think is reasonably collectible, which I got for like 50p or something like that. But the cover is completely fucked, if you pardon my French, by a sticker. So it's Blight by Mark Sonders, which is a creature feature type book about killer moths. Nothing more frightening than moths, is there? Although actually I do hate the idea of moths are kind of dusty, aren't they? And I hate the idea of getting moth dust on me. So yeah, I think I'm going to read this one for Horror Mayhem for the kind of Creatures week, because it does look quite fun. And it's not too long. It's just over 250 pages, so that's close enough. So yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to put that one separately so I don't accidentally put it back in the box. Right, next up, Phil Rickman. So if you don't know Phil Rickman, he's a British writer who writes kind of folk horror type stuff. Most famous probably for his character Merrily Watkins, who's like a vicar who investigates weird goings on. I haven't read either of these two. I think they're both standalone ones. Yeah, so he's done a load of standalone ones as well, both of which these are by the looks of it. But yeah, they look quite good. And given that it's got two books in it, it's a bit of a... In fact, yeah, so it is. Each of the books is... Let's see. The second book is 660 pages, and the first book is 600 pages. So yeah, that's why this is such a chunky book. Sorry, I didn't say what they were, did I? They are The Man in the Moss and Crybbe. Right, next up, Joe Hill. So I've read very little Joe Hill. I think I've only read... I'm racking my brains now. I think I've only read Nosferatu. Oh no, I read The Fireman as well, which I didn't like so much. Nosferatu I thought was pretty good. But I've got this, and I've got a copy of Horn somewhere as well, I think. So yes, need to read this. Is this one that's short stories, or is this... No, this is not short stories. What's his short story collection called then? I don't remember. Anyway, I need to read more Joe Hill, is the answer to that ramble. So this is Heart-Shaped Box anyway, because I don't think I said that. Okay, next up, Midnight Mass by F. Paul Wilson. So again, I've not read this one. I've read The Keep by him and whatever the first Repairman Jack book was called. I can't remember what it was called. Is this Repairman Jack? I can't remember. Doesn't look like it, but it's a vampire one anyway. So it looks quite fun. I don't know what. He seems to have a bit of a mixed reputation in that some of his books seem to be very well liked, and some of them much less so. So I don't know what the reputation for this one is. Another British author up next, Bryant and May on the Loose by Christopher Fowler. So Bryant and May it's like a continuing series, and they are kind of old school detectives who, again, investigate mysterious goings on. So yeah, I've read a couple of the books in the series and a couple of standalones by Christopher Fowler, and they were all very good. So I'm sure that one will be a good one. Next up, a bit of, I think this is Splatterpunk. So Wetbones by John Shirley, which again, I do like that cover. It's quite a sort of cartoony cover. Not much of a blurb on the back, but it does say, Wetbones is a work of genius from an extraordinary writer. Be brave, read it. Stand by to be shocked as no book has ever shocked you before. So that does sound quite good. I don't know why I haven't read this, but who knows. Right, up next, a rather tatty old copy of Tender Loving Care by Andrew Niederman. So Andrew Niederman, as I have said on the channel before, and you probably knew anyway, is V.C. Andrews, or certainly is the person who's written the V.C. Andrews books for the last few decades, since she passed away. So this one looks like it's about nurses. So I'm going to read the blurb on this one because I reckon it's going to be a good blurb. Michael really loved his wife, but after the tragic accident to their little daughter Miriam was untouchable, like a dream. Desperately hoping for his living nightmare to end, Michael hires a nurse to care for her. But though Nurse Randolph's powerful presence does wonders for Miriam, the nurse's sinister yet erotic dominance over Michael begins to fill him with a strange, shuddering sense of doom. And nothing can make the terror disappear, not even tender loving care. This looks pretty good. It might even be a candidate for a trashy read in August for Go of August. Right, next up, another one I haven't taken the sticker off the cover of. So this is Johnny Alucard by Kim Neward, one of his Anno Dracula novels. So I really, really like Anno Dracula, but it's the only one of the Anno Dracula books I've read for some reason. I've got a couple of them on my Kindle as well, I think. So I ought to read them, but I need to read them in order, and I'm not sure if I've got the one I need next. What would the next one be? I think the next one's probably The Bloody Red Baron, which I think I have got. So no excuses, I need to get rid of them. Next up, one by an author who is not terribly well known, I don't think, Muriel Gray. So this is her debut novel, The Trickster, which I had a paperback copy of years ago and never got round to reading, and subsequently got rid of it and then picked up this hardback copy, which I've also never got round to reading. But it got very good reviews at the time, and I read another book by her, the name of which completely escapes me now, which was excellent. So she is a British TV personality who, if you're in Britain and you don't recognise the name, you may recognise the picture of her there. She used to present a show on British TV about like the media industry, which I really liked, and has written a few horror novels as well in her day. I don't think she publishes horror anymore, but she did write about 3 or 4, I think. Right, let's do Mr. Koontz next. So I've got 6 Dean Koontz novels here, of varying vintages and types. So first of all, let me just do this as an illustration of where I think Dean Koontz has gone wrong in his career. So I used to really, really like Dean Koontz, but I think over time he's got more and more, for want of a better word, wanky. And, you know, he's always going on about that book of Counted Sorrows and stuff like that, and just has got a bit twee, if you ask me. Whereas I think some of his earlier stuff is quite nasty and, you know, vaguely salacious and things like that. So here are 2 covers of vintage Koontz books. So let me just check where these are from. These are from the kind of late 70s, early 80s in terms of the editions. So first of all, Night Chills. So that's a nice 70s/80s cover for you. And then another one, which is practically the same cover, albeit not quite the same, Whispers. But again, it's got a nudie lady on it. And then this is a much more recent Dean Koontz book, which has just got a silhouette of a dog on it, because he's really into dogs, isn't he, in a quite an annoying way. The Darkest Evening of the Year, which, I don't know, so let me read you the blurb of this one. Actually, let's read the blurb of one of these ones, and then I'll read the blurb of this one, and we'll see how they compare. Here we go. This is a good blurb. Glenn drove the Land Rover into a stone wall at just over 100 miles an hour. Alice stuck a meat fork through her hand and pinned it to the chopping board. Brenda took off all her clothes. She did whatever she was told. They were compelled by a fear too great to be remembered, enslaved by a power no man should ever wield. So that sounds like a great trashy horror novel, doesn't it? That sounds fantastic. Who wouldn't want to read that? And then let me read you the blurb for this one. Who will be with you in the darkest hour? Emma Rudwig has devoted her life to rescuing dogs. But the unique bond she shares with Nicky, a golden retriever she saves in the most dangerous encounter of her life, is deeper than she has ever known. In one night their loyalty will be put to the test, and each will prove to the other how far they will go when the stakes turn deadly serious. So that, to me, sounds like a trashy, rubbish TV movie that would be on in the afternoon, doesn't it? On like the Hallmark channel or something like that. So yeah, that's where Dean Koontz has gone wrong. Anyway, 3 more Dean Koontzes here. I'm not sure how old. I don't know if this is an old one or not. Darkfall. When did this first come out? It's a new edition. Oh yeah, 1984. So yeah, Darkfall. So an older one. So hopefully that won't be horribly twee. This is a newer one, but it's at least a suspense one. Your Heart Belongs to Me. And then Icebound, which I think is more of an adventure type one, about a submarine that's stuck in the ice by the looks of it, so that should be fun. Okay, moving on. We are a little over halfway, I reckon, so if you need to have a break and make yourself a cup of tea, now would be the time to do so. Right, so moving on, we have The Black Hotel by Andrew Laurance, which I don't know anything about. Let me read you the blurb. The Palace Plaza Hotel, 5 a.m, June 25th. 18 stories of glass and copper gleam in the dawn light. Their windows shatter and 8 human figures, suddenly misshapen, are hurled into the air and plummet to the London street below. Fear has taken a suite at the Palace Plaza. Everyone can feel it. Guests, bellhops, management, chambermaids. What has unleashed this force so fearful, so destructive, and now it is free? How can it ever be conquered? Not conquered, contained. So that sounds reasonably good. I know nothing about this book. I think I bought it when I was on holiday on the Isle of Wight. And Mr. Dean Koontz book, The Good Guy by Dean Koontz. I think that's what Dean Koontz had turned into, hasn't he? He's turned into the good guy instead of being the creepy guy who wrote salacious horror. Here's another one, Squirm by Richard Curtis. I don't know if this Richard Curtis is the same Richard Curtis who wrote and directed like Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral. And all those horrible films which I really, really intensely dislike irrationally. I have an irrational dislike of Richard Curtis films. Especially, what's the one where the guy turns up at the girl's house and does the cards? Is that Notting Hill or is that a different one? I just hate them. And is Notting Hill also the one where you've got the bit from Hugh Grant at the beginning where he's going on about how love always wins. Oh no, it must be Love Actually, I think it is. How he's going on about how love always wins and how when people are in their darkest hour and, you know, about to die or whatever, then they send out messages of love rather than less messages of hate. Anyway, Squirm. This sounds much better, regardless of whether or not it's the same Rich Curtis. And this is the adaptation, so the novelisation of a film by Jeff Lieberman, who's great, who made a really excellent film called Blue Sunshine, which is about these bald hippies who take some bad acid and go crazy, which I seem to remember was very good. Anyway, I'll read you the blurb of this one as well, because let's face it, it's going to be good. Squirm is a blood-curdling shocker calculated to make you writhe with horror. Georgia doesn't know what's hit it when a freak nightmare of a storm brings down the overhead power lines, which then direct a massive electric charge into the wet mud. The slimy, oozing, crawling horror which results, an angry, rampaging mass of carnivorous superworms, is the most terrifying threat to human life ever to be unleashed on or under the surface of the planet. That's got to be good. Right, next up, They Thirst by Robert McCammon. I'm fairly sure I have read this one, but ages ago. But it's a good cover, isn't it? So this is I think it's set in LA. Yes, an LA vampire novel, but quite big. And also quite falling apart. It's not quite falling apart yet, but there's a big crack there. How long is it? 530 pages, so yeah, reasonably long one. Right, let's move on. We've got some more vintagey stuff here and some newer stuff as well. So let me grab a few. Right, so first up, Family Portrait by Graham Masterton. So Masterton obviously is enjoying a bit of a new lease of life at the moment. So he went through a phase where he was writing these crime novels, which were okay. But now that horror is kind of in again, he's gone back to writing horror novels. And I've read a couple of his recent ones and really enjoyed them. But yeah, this is an 80s one, so that looks pretty good. Oh God, I'll read you the blurb of this one as well. I'm treating you today. They found the first body in Europe. She had once been a pretty fresh-faced girl, but with exquisite skill, someone had carefully teased their skin entirely away from her body. She had been skinned alive! Exclamation mark. The second blood-raw corpse turned up in New England, and then another, this time uncut but convulsed with writhing maggots. Then two frightened men combined to fight the demonic power which gathers around a fading Victorian painting. That sounds good. I should read that. This one is about killer wasps, and it's called Instinct, and it's by Ben Kay, and it's got a killer wasp on the cover. I told you I had a copy of Horns, didn't I? So here's Horns by Joe Hill. This one is one that I was sent as an ARC by Titan Books and shamefully never got around to reading, which is really bad. I should read ARCs when I'm provided with them. It's The Devouring Grave by Christine Lynn Hermann, and it's got pink edges on the pages. I said in the video the other day, I really like books with coloured page edging, and that one has it, so it's another reason why I should read it. And this is The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone, which I think I won in a giveaway on Goodreads, which is about killer spiders. So again, it's got killer spiders in it. It's got to be reasonably good. I don't know why I haven't read it. I did read another book by Ezekiel Boone more recently, which I completely forget the name of, but which was like it was about like a smart house that's possessed by a demon, which was not brilliant, but reasonably entertaining. Right, what do we got next? So I've got a Koji Suzuki book. So Koji Suzuki, most famous for The Ring. So this is Spiral. Is this a sequel to The Ring? No, I don't think it is. Oh no, it is. The stunning sequel to Ring. Yes, so I should read that because I really, really like Ring. This one I've had for ages, and I think I would enjoy because it's about sort of killer fish, which has got to be good. Or maybe it's just about killer oceans. I don't know. But it's really long. It's like 900 pages long. Anyway, The Swarm by Frank Schatzing. Sorry, I sneaked a bit there, didn't I? Because it sounds a bit rude, his name. But yes, this is supposed to be very good. It's translated from the German, I believe. So I can read it and claim I'm reading translated fiction, even though it's clearly not a very smart book. Right, moving on. We have Spectre by Stephen Laws. I think this is a wonderfully creepy cover, even if, again, an errant sticker has mucked it up a bit. But yeah, Stephen Laws is really good. I've not read this one, but I've read a fair few by him. So another 80s British author, but definitely one I would recommend. Next up, Scare Tactics by John Farris. Is this short stories or is it? Yes, so it's all, well, maybe they're novellas. 5 stories anyway by John Farris. Next up, another short story collection, Growing Things by Paul Tremblay. This is another ARC. Don't tell them, but this is another ARC that I was sent by Titan Books that I didn't ever read. But Paul Tremblay is supposed to be great, and I've never read any Paul Tremblay, so I should read that. And it was very cute, actually. When they sent me the ARC, they also sent a little packet of seeds. More Koji Suzuki. I've got bad at getting the books in the right order. Right, so, okay, more Koji Suzuki. So this one is Loop, which is the 3rd book in the Ring series. And then this is Dark Water, which is a standalone, which was filmed very effectively as well. I remember the movie being really scary. Right, 3 more to go, all of which are vintage-ish. So, first up is Hellborn by Gary Brandner, who wrote The Howling. So this is from the library of E. Moulton. So E. Moulton owned this book in 1986. I'll read you the blurb because it's very short. Astrogoth has risen. From the dark night of the centuries he has returned. He will have his rightful bride, or he will utterly destroy the earth. He is the Hellborn. That sounds pretty good. I'm not sure if I like that cover or not, but it sounds good. Right, T.M. Wright, The Island. This is an author who I've owned a number of different books by over the years and have never read. I certainly owned other books that had this kind of cover style by him. But yes, I don't know anything about T.M. Wright, really, other than he's one of those authors from the 80s who people kind of talk quite a lot about at the time and who subsequently seems to have fallen out of the public consciousness. And then finally, we have Brainchild by John Saul. Now, John Saul is an author whose name has come up a number of times in discussions I've been having recently about trashy books. So maybe I should keep this one out for Garb August. Shall I read you the back? It's a really long blurb, so I'm not going to. But it's a good cover, isn't it? Yes. So anyway, that was my trawl through another box of horror out of the attic. That might have been the last horror box, you know. I think that might have been the last horror box. It was a bigger box than some of the others. I think that might be it for my horror books. So hopefully that's not going to lose me loads of subscribers because they know they're not going to get any more of these. I may have another box up there, or I may have some horror books mixed in other boxes. We shall see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're all safe and well. Let me know if you've read any of these terrible horror books and what you thought of them. But yeah, I hope you read really good stuff, and I will speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.